Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest milestones in any IVF journey, egg retrieval day. I know it can feel like a day filled with a million questions and maybe a few nerves, but our goal here is to swap all that anxiety for some real clarity and confidence. So let's get into it.
So, what really happens on egg retrieval day? Beyond all the medical jargon, what does it actually feel like? We're going to walk through the entire thing step by step, from the final countdown at home all the way to what happens in the lab after you've left. Let's start with how you get ready.
Okay, so our journey really begins with the final countdown, those last crucial hours leading up to the procedure. And, believe it or not, it all kicks off with one of the most important injections of your entire cycle. This timeline is all about perfect timing. About 34 to 36 hours before your procedure, you'll do something called the trigger shot. This is the big one. It's the final signal that tells the eggs to mature. Think of it like a perfectly timed countdown clock. Your clinic schedules your retrieval for that very specific window to collect the eggs right at their peak, just before your body would naturally release them. After that, you'll start fasting, and then it's time to head to the clinic. Now for a few practical tips that, trust me, make a huge difference. First up, you'll absolutely need a ride home. The sedation means no driving for at least 24 hours, so make sure you have your support person lined up. For your outfit, comfort is everything. We're talking loose sweats, a soft dress, slip-on shoes. You might feel a little bloated, so an elastic waistband is going to be your best friend. It's also best to go all natural, so no jewelry, makeup, or strong perfumes. And of course, just have one last quick chat with your medical team to review any meds. All right, you've done all the prep, you're at the clinic, so let's unpack the procedure itself. What a lot of people find so surprising is just how quick and gentle the whole process is. Modern techniques are really designed with your comfort and safety as the top priority.
So how long does it actually take? Get this, usually just 15 to 30 minutes. That's it. For so many women, it's over before they even really know it's begun.
In fact, probably the most common thing we hear people say afterwards is that the whole thing was way, way easier than they imagined. A lot of the time, the waiting and the wondering beforehand is actually the hardest part.
So how do they keep you comfortable? Well, the key is something called conscious sedation. Now, this isn't that deep, general anesthesia. Think of it more like a twilight state. You'll be super relaxed and completely pain-free, but you're still breathing on your own. You have an anesthesiologist with you the entire time, and honestly, most people have little to no memory of the procedure at all.
The procedure itself really boils down to 3 simple steps. First, an IV gives you the sedation to get you all comfortable and relaxed. Next, the doctor uses an ultrasound probe to get a really clear view of the ovaries. And finally, guided by that image, a very fine, gentle needle collects the fluid, and of course the eggs, from each follicle. It's an incredibly precise and safe process.
Once the procedure is done, the focus shifts entirely to you. So, let's talk about rest and recovery, what you can expect to feel, and how you can take the absolute best care of yourself.
Okay, let's get real about what you might feel afterwards. It's totally normal to have some mild cramping, a bit of bloating, and to feel pretty tired. But it's just as important to know the signs that mean you should give your clinic a call. So, as you can see here, things like severe pain that gets worse, heavy bleeding, or a fever, those are your cues to get in touch with your team right away. Please don't ever hesitate.
For the smoothest recovery, think of this as your self-care toolkit. The number one goal is to just rest for the remainder of the day. Kick your feet up. Keep hydrating with lots of water. A heating pad can be an absolute game changer for cramps, and your doctor will likely give you the green light for acetaminophen if you need it. Just be sure to skip any tough workouts for a day or two, and stick to showers instead of baths to keep the risk of infection low.
Okay, let's talk about risks, and I want you to think about this not as something to be scared of, but as knowledge that keeps you empowered and in the driver's seat of your own health.
First things first, let's put this all into perspective. The procedure is very, very safe. Serious complications are extremely rare. We're talking they happen in less than 1% of all egg retrievals.
The risk that gets talked about the most is something called OSS, or ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. And in simple terms, it's a rare condition where the ovaries just kind of overreact to the fertility meds, which makes them get swollen and painful. Your clinic keeps a super close eye on you to prevent OHSS, but it's still really important for you to know the signs. You want to watch out for things like severe belly pain, rapid weight gain, nausea that just won't quit, feeling short of breath, or noticing you're not peeing as much. If you experience any of these, call your clinic right away.
And now for the really exciting part.
While you're at home resting and recovering, a whole new journey is just getting started for your eggs behind the scenes in the embryology lab.
A question everyone asks is, so how many eggs will they get? On average, a cycle might yield somewhere around 10 to 15. But, and this is a big but, this number varies so much from person to person, and it's really just the starting point.
Because it is so important to remember this. Quality is every bit as important as quantity. A successful pregnancy doesn't depend on hitting some magic number. It's all about having healthy, mature eggs for the lab to work with.
So what's happening in the lab? Well, first, an embryologist carefully looks at each egg to make sure it's mature. Then the mature eggs are fertilized with sperm. And finally, those fertilized eggs are tucked into a super high-tech incubator that perfectly mimics the body's environment, giving them the ideal spot to start growing into embryos. And just like that, you've done it. A major milestone is complete. While you recover, your eggs are just beginning their incredible journey in the lab. The next few days are all about watching and waiting as they hopefully grow and develop, bringing you one giant step closer to your goal.
And just one last thing before we go. Please remember that this explainer is for educational and informational purposes only, and it does not count as medical advice. For any medical questions, you should always talk to your doctor. If you'd like to learn more about the complete in vitro fertilization process, you can find a ton of great information at ivfforme.com. That's ivfforme.com.